So, do you remember we were talking about Viveka, we were talking about the practice. And the practice, we came to the practice once we have understood that yoga is the highest state of mindfulness. And that state of mindfulness reveals our true nature. Our true nature is full of permanent peace, happiness, love, and wisdom. So then we came down that what blocks us, and blocking is the mind. Mind is an instrument of the real self and higher consciousness. But as long as this mind is not pure, clear, like a mirror, it will not help us to reach to a meditative state. So we also understood there are 5 subjective states of the mind: wandering, forgetfulness, and distraction. Say that you are sitting and you are doing meditation and you start remembering something and the mind goes there. So this is one distraction. And I had one student long back, I don't forget. He was very obese, 5 foot 2 inches and weighing around 140 kilogram in India. And the moment I start talking, within few minutes his head goes down and he started snoring. I said, "Hey, what are you doing?" "No, sir, I'm totally absorbed. I'm paying total attention to what you're saying." And then the practice of meditation started. And then again he started snoring. So there used to be 40, 50 people. So I found a way. I approached near to him while giving the instruction. So every time I could see now he is going to breathe longer. And the next breath, he will start snoring. I used to press his hand gently. He used to return. It took me a couple of months once he returns to that. So that is what happens in the state of forgetfulness. I explained the story because of that. Then we also understood the 5 objective states of the mind. That causes lot of challenges. So how to meet those challenges? We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 sutras, 5 formulas. The first is the regular practice with the wisdom. You see the way these masters used to write a text. So in the first, they say regular practice with the wisdom. In the next sutra, they explained what exactly is the practice. That means my mind should remain one pointed to the state of steadiness inside doing all the activities, living a personal, professional, social life. That sense of steadiness, oneness inside the mind should continue to be there even when I'm thinking, speaking, and talking, uh, along with the meditation. Then we came to the 2 more sutras. We said, what exactly is the practice? Practice means there should be regularity, continuity, commitment, and check, is the mind deeply interested into it or not? But if it is not interested, then where it is? So, where it is? It is seeking pleasure in the world outside. So, in the 4th sutra of the practice, it says dispassion is required. So, when the mind lives in that state of dispassion, and then you do the practice of meditation. So, perhaps last week I explained about viveka. Viveka means you separate real from the unreal. So, in this session, we will talk about what exactly is the dispassion in a practical way. So, there is a passion and there is a dispassion. And dispassion culminates when we have discernment. Remember, when if you do not have a discernment, I have a very beautiful, I always have beautiful friends. I don't know whether it's because of the beard or something else. So she invited me. She's a yoga teacher in Princeton. I don't want to name. She and attended couple of sessions in Princeton, mindfulness sessions. So she happened to know me from some friend and she sent an email. I sent an email. So normally it's a mechanical resume that I have 40 plus experience. So then I met her and she told me that I also have 25 plus years of experiences plus 3 surgeries of the spine. What do you mean by 25 years of experiences in yoga? And what is yoga for you? It is all twisting and stretching the body. Overstretching, over-exercise, over-exertion. And she was hardly 35, 36 when I was there. So I'm not criticizing my own profession. There we needed discernment. Master cautions that what practice we are doing, we should be 100% clear. There must be a clarity, there must be a conviction, and then the intellect inspires the mind. And that mind which is moving outside in passion is prevented. That is the case. Now we understand the dispassion. Poison. If I know sugar is a poison from the beginning, there is no problem. I can definitely prevent diabetes. But once we have diabetes, then we say sugar is poison. That is one example of a passion. I love you, honey. That is attachment, and that attachment is a poison. I should know what love is first before I start loving anyone. I'm sorry, I'm attacking your mind. So we have a mindset. I love you. Can you stick to your honey 24 by 7? That is not love. So we have to figure out the discernment leads to dispassion. Always remember, dispassion doesn't mean that I have to control. People say binge eating. They said, I will take care of it, provided you start understanding. Binge eating is just a problem of a passion. The mind is taking over the intellect, and the intellect does not have the clarity and a conviction. So the mind dictates the intellect, and then I go for it. And there are real life stories. One of my friend, very dear school friend, he has a diabetes, but he cannot leave the sugar. So yeah, so he was telling me just couple of months before. I told you, I think, I told you before also. So he said, I cannot leave sugar. So I eat candies and I eat sweets, Indian desserts. And after that, I take a double dose of insulin. I know your mind says, oh my goodness, crazy guy. Question is, are we doing the same thing in our daily personal, professional, and social life? That is the question. It is not a matter of sugar. I'm obsessed with my son or daughter. I'm obsessed with my parents. As a person, I'm obsessed with my house. I'm obsessed with the gadgets. Find out. Find out. If we are living in passion, then without understanding, there cannot be any dispassion at all. Now, dispassion has an element of clarity, what is desired and what is not desired. In my daily life, in my daily life, I must be 100% clear. One thing, you make it clear. You have a passion, means you have an attachment, you have a disliking, you have a hatred, you have a jealousy, you have a pleasure seeking mind. That becomes the cause of suffering in our daily life. You cannot prevent suffering from your life. I must have a dispassion. No, my brother is saying, I have to do this, so I'm totally, now, I have to do it. I know this is not fair, but still I have to do it. And then I do it, and after some time, what I say, I did it in good faith, and see what happened to me. What is good faith? Did you apply the faith in your mind and intellect? Are you clear about it? No. I was clear, I was little bit doubtful, and then you start suffering. I was telling Anne yesterday, yes, good session. And I said, the daughter asked me to pay about 20K for her fees. Dispassion, yes, for the fees I paid. But if she should have asked, I want to go on a vacation, give me the money, I should not have given it at any cost. That's not my way. Dispassion. I'm just giving one example. We normally do it and we fall prey to the pleasure seeking mind. Another point to understand. Why my friend still takes candies and desserts, sweet in nature, and then he takes the insulin? Where comes the point of discernment here that you can include in your relationship and in every activities? Because the mind claims sugar gives me pleasure even though it is a poison. So, for the sake of pleasure, we live our life. We continue to live our life with the pleasure seeking mind in the world outside. Our master says that becomes the cause of a wandering mind. The mind will continue to wander, to distract, to get obsessed, and the wandering, obsessed mind cannot succeed in meditation. Forget about meditation. There is no way. Meditation. So, how the dispassion takes place? By introducing the mind, one, these principles to separate real from the unreal. Mind takes unreal as real because of liking, disliking, attachment, detachment. So if this attachment, and I had, I told you, she works in Tiffany Jewelers, whose daughter, so she's getting good money, so she paid uh, daughter for her car and for her fees. So one day she found that cigarette butts and the seat was burnt of the car. The mother noticed and mother started reacting. And she called me almost around 10:30, 11. It happened in New Jersey. I said, okay, I'll come. Everyone becomes my friend, so I'm always at their disposal. You are good enough, you don't call me, so am going to take the car back and I will ask her to return all the money that I paid for the fees. I said, why didn't you pay me? Can you make a difference between your daughter and me? Why didn't you pay me that much of money? And why did you pay to your daughter? That's how I gave, I don't say counseling, but guidance, coaching. No, she is my daughter. So you are attached. And when I come to your house and you hug me and you say, Acharya, you're very good, very nice guy, but you don't pay me to the way you pay your daughter. And then I told her that first understand what is discernment, what is real and unreal. You are paying the money, it is because the mind is in the mode of pleasure seeking in your relationship. She should follow you, your daughter should follow you, should love you, should you have lot of expectation. So in the attachment and detachment, when you have that expectation of seeking pleasure, that mind becomes enters into a delusion and causes the suffering. That is why we need a dispassion. Dispassion, understanding dispassion, we have maybe uh, it may take 10 to 20 hours, but I'm briefing. Now, in order to reach to that dispassion, the first group of practice is karma, means action. How to perform any action in my daily life. Mind should be free from the fruits, desire for the fruit, any expectation. And second thing, it should be free from the ego sense. Second part of the practices, you see breathing practices, mantra, japa. There are hundreds of practices to trigger that mind which is seeking the pleasure to help the mind to return inside. One group of practice which contains hundreds and thousands of practices. But it should be learned under a teacher clarity. What mode, what is the mental state, what is the level of your awareness, then only you succeed. The second group of practices is emotion. You have to redirect your emotion from outside to inside. You have to ask your mind, oh, I love you, honey, my daughter, my son, but what is this love? I must understand. That love will come and go. Now, see the point here why we redirect the emotion. I love you only because I like you first in my mind. If I don't like you, how can I love you? And the liking causes the attachment, it never causes the love. And that leads to suffering. So, that second group of the practices, what it says in a, it says, behind the monitor, I have the very first picture of my master with myself. Now, see the point, understand that. That leads to dispassion. I love my master. So, every time, I'm giving a lesson, my eyes goes there and I feel love for my master. Can my master ever cheat me or deceive me? He is an epitome of kindness, love, knowledge, wisdom. I lived with him for 26 years, so I know him. That is not attachment. In religion, we say love God. That is another tool. So we redirect our emotion, but that God should be understood in the intellect as an epitome of love, minus punishment, minus any kind of a confession. You pick up any image, that is one way, or simply love that existence. Redirect your love to the existence. Third group of practices is by thinking. What is thinking? Can I tell you why you behave the way you behave and act every day? Why you get upset? Why you react? So I'm just giving you a glimpse of it. When we sleep, all the desires also sleep with us. And when you wake up in the morning, so desire also wakes up. All over, say for example, you fought with the near and dear ones today, and then you sleep. The next day you wake up in the morning, that guy must come into your mind. Tell me if it is not true. So before those desires take over your mind, and you said the moment you wake up in the morning, I will be in the state of well-being, peace, and happiness. Behind all my thought, speech, and action with the people in my personal, professional life, I will speak, think, and act with peace and calmness behind. Simple. So you don't allow the desire to take over your mind. Before that, you start thinking in that way. That is another group of practices. So this group of practices also has 1,000 practices. I'm just giving a brief of it. Then what we are doing is a contemplation and reflection. We are going deeper and understanding what exactly is the dispassion. So that is another practice. So we are already doing the practice of dispassion. Dispassion is not renunciation. Dispassion is not forced control. Dispassion is not forcing your mind to do this and that. No, with that clarity of understanding that here is a poison which my mind was claiming as a pleasure, and then what happens? The mind leaves that. So it's a very subtle step. Very subtle step. Couple of more points. It is neither attachment nor detachment. It is just in the middle. The intellect is fully aware that if I am attached, poison, even if I am detached, the pendulum will swing to the attachment again. You know, attachment and detachment in the mind swings like a pendulum. So once we have the intellect in between, discernment, mind becomes very clear. And that clear mind is always ready for meditation. Are you getting it? So you need to think. It is not only by thinking, it is not only by doing some practices, it is not only doing redirecting your emotion. Remember, you have to play with your mind with the practice of discernment that I covered last week. Discernment. When the discernment is there, dispassion grows and it reaches to its peak. You have heard many masters, or you have read in the Google, mindfulness is effortless, natural, it is not a practice. Why? Only for those people who have reached dispassion 100%. There is 100% dispassion. You are already living into the meditative state. You need not to practice. Now the meditation chases you. Meditation follows you. Wherever you go, meditation follows you. Many examples I give you. Are you listening to me? Yes. At the same time, are you listening to the mind? The mind is thinking something. It is not 100% dispassion. Because mind is already thinking somewhere and you are listening to me. Hundreds of examples I can give you. Just here and now. I said, sugar is a poison, and still I claim that it is a pleasure. And then your mind reminds you, oh, not only sugar, but my mind is passionate about these stuff of eating, these clothes, these lipsticks. Mine instantly remembers that is not dispassion. You're not used to that 100% of this. Dispassion means where you are, where your body is, there your mind is, and the intellect is settled in wisdom. That is one more definition of dispassion. Where you are, here, physically, mentally, and intellect found its home in the wisdom of the real and the unreal. Don't be conscious. That is what I observe also. Having a virtual session, I say, I should have videos of you, how many times you have moved your body. That also tells me. So don't be conscious from the next session. So it happens. So it is not only, we understand. That's why we say the presence of a teacher is required. So I can come out that as a teacher, I can understand where your mind is sitting. If it is sitting in the body, and body is inert, body is made up of chemicals. And if the mind is totally sitting in the body, visiting will be there, or sleeping like an obese guy. I gave you an example. So we understand it, but we go slowly out of love and care. Okay, days are it cannot happen in a day, because I've challenged your mind. Your mind will react, and it will continue to think negatively. So we teacher go slowly. Okay, okay, you are good. Then you give me 100 reasons why my body moved. Come on, body is a matter, inert matter, like a phone. Can the phone know itself? No. Can this phone know me? No. Same way with the body. So when the intellect is settled in the wisdom, and that intellect says, come on, body, you are matter, sit, finished. No issue with the body. That also leads to the highest level of dispassion. And the highest level of dispassion. Then what happens? Then the mind does not want to sit in the body. Then it listens to the instructions. Then the intellect, which is settled in the wisdom, tells the mind what the teacher is saying. Follow it. Or keep remembering that emptiness of the mind is the key. Thought comes, not desire. Emotion comes, not desired at this time. So when you live into that awareness, my friend, it leads you to the highest level of dispassion. What Master says, Master says when you live into the highest level of dispassion, what happens? Where is the result? You are already in meditation. You are living in meditation. This is what the Master says in the fifth and the last sutra about the practice. And then from the next week, we will understand there are how many stages of meditation based on this dispassion only. 5% dispassion. God knows when you will succeed in meditation. 25% dispassion. Okay, let me pull my mind. There are more absentees than presents. 50% dispassion. So mind reminds you again and again. I have to go to this session again and listen to this beer guy to find out the way. 75%, 90%, 100%. Think of this. This is the way. Now, I'm not to blame. I'm giving you 100%. You see that? I'm giving you 100%. In every session, provided is your mind ready to take 100%, then you are there. It took me many years. I was totally fool and still I am fool. It took me many years. And you cannot resist and you cannot stay the traditional teaching. The closer you are to the master, and the master fires you, even if you do a very small mistake. Get out of my monastery. My master told me many a times. But master, I love you. Get out of it. So I realized, I started contemplating what fault I did. So I used to go out of the main gate of the monastery, and I used to spread the mat and I said, I'm sleeping. I'm out of your monastery. My master was very kind enough. In the middle of the night, he said, no, call this guy. He's not going to leave. So we had totally a different relationship. If I start saying something like this, it'll put me into a problem. Privacy rights, privacy. Understand that. So understand that highest level of dispassion leads us to reach to that meditative state. Michelle had to go. So let us start our meditation practice. Close your eyes.